That moment when the lights go out, the hum of the refrigerator is gone, the little blue light on the modem is dark. You flip a switch, but nothing happens. It's a familiar feeling, that sudden, deep quiet that falls over the house when the power cuts out. Your phone is at 12% battery. You thumb through it and see the no service icon. The cell towers are probably down too. This isn't some far-off disaster movie plot. A Tuesday evening after a storm, a Saturday afternoon during a heat wave, it's a moment that happens to millions every year. The darkness feels thick. You remember the can of chili in the pantry. You find the can. Your fancy electric can opener is useless without power. That little pull tab? It snaps right off in your fingers. So there you are, in the dark, hungry, holding a sealed metal container with no obvious way in. That tiny problem feels like a giant wall. This isn't about doomsday prepping or backyard bunkers. It's about that exact moment. How to solve these small, annoying, but real problems with simple tools and know-how. We're going to talk about getting into that can of chili. We're going to talk about getting a message to loved ones to tell them you're okay. These are surprisingly easy skills to learn. They don't require expensive gear or years of training. Just a little thought before the lights go out. Trade helplessness for calm confidence. Know you have a plan B. Know you have a plan C. Let's take a closer look at that can of food. It's an amazing piece of technology when you think about it. It keeps food safe and edible for years without any refrigeration. Canned goods are the foundation of any simple emergency pantry. They are cheap, nutrient-dense, you can find them everywhere. Beans, tuna, soups, vegetables, they represent a complete meal just waiting to be opened. When the power is out and the food in your fridge is on a ticking clock, the contents of your pantry become your primary source of nourishment. The can is your friend. The problem is the can is a fortress. Its job is to keep things out, and that includes you when you don't have the right key. Relying on an electric can opener is like having a single key for your house, and that key is made of electricity. When the power is gone, so is your key. Even pull tabs can fail. They can be hard to grip, especially for someone with arthritis, or they can snap right off, leaving you with a smooth, impenetrable lid. So, first order of business in a power outage, secure your food supply. This starts with getting into those cans. Before we dive into methods, let's adopt the right mindset. The goal is to create an opening. It doesn't have to be a perfectly clean, round cut. You just need a hole big enough to get the food out. You're not aiming for presentation, you're aiming for a meal. This shift in thinking makes the task less intimidating. The simplest, most reliable solution is often the best one. The manual can opener is the undisputed champion of powerless food prep. This isn't a fancy gadget. It's a simple machine with gears and a sharp wheel. Your grandparents definitely had one. It just works. Every single time. There are no batteries to replace, no cords to plug in. All it requires is a little manual effort. This is your number one tool. If you don't own one, go buy one. Today. They cost a few bucks. Don't buy the cheapest. Gears can strip. Spend a little more for a sturdy one with comfortable grips. Once you have it, don't toss it in a drawer and forget it. Use it once or twice. Open a can of beans for dinner with it. Get a feel for the motion. Position the cutting wheel on the top lip of the can. Squeeze the handles until the wheel punctures the lid. Then start turning the crank. The beauty is safety and efficiency. The cutting wheel rolls along the outside edge, leaving a relatively smooth rim. Much safer than methods that create jagged, razor-sharp edges. When the lid is cut all the way around, use the opener or a simple butter knife to pry it up and away. It's a clean, controlled process. Keep one in your kitchen, another in your car's emergency kit, and maybe a third in your camping gear. Okay, so maybe you didn't listen. The power is out. You've searched every drawer. No manual can opener in sight. What now? Don't despair. Look for a spoon. Grab a regular metal spoon from the silverware drawer. This method uses friction and pressure, not a sharp edge. It takes more effort than an opener, but it's an incredibly effective trick. Feels almost secret agent level. Here's how it works. Find a sturdy metal spoon. A flimsy one might bend. Grab a solid one. Place the can on a stable surface. Countertop. Floor. Make sure it won't slip. Grip the spoon firmly with your index finger near the bowl for extra pressure. Place the very tip of the spoon's bowl against the inner rim, inside that little groove. Use the edge of the spoon as your tool. Now for the action. Press down hard and rub the tip back and forth over a tiny area, about ½ inch. You're applying friction to a single spot. The goal is to wear down the thin lid metal. It will take a minute. You will feel the metal start to give. Suddenly the spoon will break through. You've made a small hole. Continue rubbing along the rim to make the hole bigger, or use the spoon to pry the lid upward. Safety notes. The broken edge is very sharp. Don't run your fingers along it. If gripping gets tiring, wrap a dish towel around the can for a safer, comfier hold. Spoons are everywhere. This is a great backup. Practice once on a can you plan to open. You'll be surprised, and you'll gain a cool little skill. Find a sturdy spoon, stabilize the can, rub the inner rim in a tiny spot until it gives, enlarge carefully, eat. For those who carry a pocket knife or have a multi-tool handy, you have another excellent option for opening a can. This method is faster than the spoon trick, but requires more caution. A sturdy pocket knife, a Swiss Army knife, the knife on a Leatherman tool can all be used to puncture and cut open a can lid. The key here is control. You are using a sharp object, and the last thing you want is for it to slip. First, select your tool. You want a knife with a strong tip. A flimsy blade could snap, which is dangerous. Place the can on a very stable, low surface, like the floor. This gives you better leverage and reduces the risk of the can tipping over. Now, hold the knife handle firmly. Place the tip of the blade vertically onto the can lid, right next to the inside rim. Don't try to saw it. You're going to use pressure. Place the heel of your other hand on the back of the knife handle and press down firmly and carefully to puncture the lid. Once you have your first hole, the rest is straightforward. Move the knife tip over about ½ inch and repeat the process. Make a series of small punctures all the way around the inside of the rim. Think of it like a dotted line. You are perforating the lid, then pry up or insert and gently rock to cut between punctures. Safety cannot be overstated with this method. Always keep your fingers and the hand holding the can clear of the knife's path. Always direct the pressure downwards, not sideways. If you were to slip, you want the knife going into the can, not into your hand. Wear work gloves if you have them. It's about being resourceful with what you have on hand. A good multi-tool is a fantastic item to have in your emergency kit for this very reason. Okay, you've successfully opened your can of chili and had a decent meal. The next big worry that creeps in during a power outage is communication. Is your family okay? Do your neighbors need help? What's the latest news on when the power might come back on? Your smartphone, the magical device that normally connects you to the entire world, is now just a dark rectangle. The cellular network might be down, the Wi-Fi is definitely out, your battery is draining fast. Staying connected requires shifting back to older, more reliable technologies. The first and most important tool for information is a radio. A small battery-powered AM/FM radio is an essential piece of any blackout kit. When the internet is down, local radio stations are often the best source of news, weather updates, information from emergency services. They can tell you about road closures, the extent of the outage, where you might find resources, warming centers or charging stations. An even better option is a no-AA weather radio. It will automatically alert you to severe weather and other civil emergencies. But what about reaching out? This is where a little pre-planning goes a long way. The simplest form of communication is with your immediate neighbors. Once you've ensured your own household is safe, step outside and check on the people next door. Do they have what they need? Does the elderly couple down the street need someone to open a can for them? Creating a small community network is powerful. You can share resources, information, comfort, and solidarity. A friendly face can make a huge difference in a stressful situation. That feeling of watching your phone's battery percentage tick down to 0 during an outage is a unique kind of modern anxiety. Our phones are our lifelines, our flashlights, and our connection to the outside world. Keeping them alive becomes a top priority. While you can't power your whole house, you can definitely keep your small, personal electronics running with a few simple and affordable gadgets. This isn't about complex generators. It's about having small, portable sources of power ready to go. The easiest solution is a pre-charged power bank. These are small, portable batteries that you can get in any electronics store. The strategy is simple. When the power is on, you keep the power bank charged. When the power goes out, you use it to recharge your phone, your headlamp, your radio. Get one that's big enough to charge your phone at least 2 or 3 times. It's a set-it-and-forget-it solution. Charge it up, toss it in your emergency kit or a kitchen drawer, and it will be waiting for you when you need it. For a longer outage, you'll need a way to generate your own power. This is where solar comes in. You don't need a huge array on your roof. Small foldable solar panel chargers are incredibly effective and portable. On a sunny day, you can unfold the panel, lay it out on your porch or windowsill, and plug your device directly into its USB port. It might charge slower than a wall outlet, but it's a steady and reliable source of free energy as long as the sun is out. It's a game changer for multi-day outages. No sun and dead power bank? Use a hand crank charger. Many emergency radios come with a hand crank built in. Your car is also a powerful generator on wheels. Just never run it in a closed garage. Let's say the cell towers are down, the internet is gone, and you need to leave a message for someone. Maybe you're leaving your home to go to the designated family meeting spot, or maybe you need to ask a neighbor for help, but they aren't home. How do you communicate? You go analog. Paper and pen are powerful communication tools that require no power and no network. Having a simple notepad and a permanent marker in your emergency kit is an incredibly smart move. The most basic method is leaving a note. A clear, simple note taped to your front door can let family members or emergency responders know your status. It should include the date and time, who is with you, and where you are going. For example, October 11, 2:00 p.m. We are all okay. Heading to the library on Main Street. We'll check back here at 6:00 p.m. This simple message provides crucial information and peace of mind to anyone looking for you. A small whiteboard or chalkboard mounted by your door can also serve this purpose well. For communicating within a neighborhood, walkie-talkies, two-way radios. A decent set of FRS radios, GMRS radios can have a range of a mile or more in a typical suburban environment. You can establish a channel for your family or your block to use for check-ins. Hey, this is the Johnson house on Elm. Everyone okay over there? Just make sure everyone has a radio and knows what channel to be on and when to listen. We've covered a lot of ground, from opening cans with a spoon to charging your phone with the sun. The key takeaway is that being prepared for a power outage doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. It's about taking a few small, simple steps now, during the calm before the next storm or grid failure. The goal isn't to become a hardened survivalist. It's simply to ensure you can stay safe, fed, and connected. The best time to assemble a kit is on a normal, boring afternoon, not in the dark while you're feeling stressed. Let's boil it all down to a quick, actionable checklist. Think of this as your shopping list for peace of mind. You can probably gather most of these items in a single afternoon. The idea is to create a small lights-out kit. Keep it in an accessible place like a hall closet or under the kitchen sink. Everyone in the household should know where it is. This isn't a massive undertaking. It's a small project that pays huge dividends in comfort and safety when you need it most. Practice is the final piece of the puzzle. Owning the tools is great, but knowing how to use them is better. So, take 30 minutes one weekend. Use your manual can opener to make dinner. Show your kids how the hand crank radio works. Step outside and see how far your walkie-talkies can reach. This little bit of hands-on experience demystifies the tools and builds confidence. When the lights do go out, you won't be guessing. You'll be calmly executing a plan you've already practiced. Here is your quick checklist. Go through it, see what you have, and grab what you need. Small actions create resilience. Quick checklist for your lights out. Kit. Food tools. 1 sturdy manual can opener. A strong metal spoon for the backup method. A reliable multi-tool or pocket knife. Light and power. LED flashlight or headlamp. Spare batteries. A fully charged power bank. A small solar charger or hand crank radio or charger. Communication and info. Battery-powered AM, FM, no AA weather radio. Notepad and permanent marker for leaving messages. Printed list of important phone numbers and your family plan. Safety and comfort. A basic first aid kit. A pair of sturdy work gloves. That's it. A small list. Big difference.